Okay, so welcome back. We have our selfie stick fully assembled. Now, for what we're going to do today, I'm going to go ahead and go from this view here so we can kind of see what's going on. Now, the other thing is we turned off the joints. So I'm going to go in, and you can't see this on the screen. I'm going to change auto or object visibility and turn those joints back on. So if I zoom in here, you can see the joints in this kind of like teal and gray color. Okay, now you can get to where we're going in a couple of different ways. So we left a joint. So if you were able to keep the joint location for the original part up here, you want to go ahead and just delete that. And we'll go ahead and follow through and do what we did here. So you have something in this configuration as compared to where it was. So what we can do is we can do a couple of things. You can right click on the joint here and say edit motion limits, or if you go over to here, you can see the different joints that you have in play. And if I click on that, joint, it's going to tell me which of these joints I have. And then I can do the right click, and then I can change things like edit motion limits. So either one of those gets you to the same point. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to edit motion limits from here. And so then I'm going to set my min and max. So if you look here and say, all right, I want my min to be down here, and then I can put a maximum. And now you can see, so when I put my minimum on, I had a kind of a flag I could drag up and down. Then when I put my maximum on, that gives me another flag. So this would be, let's say that's the furthest you want that guy to go out. And see how we can change both these independently, and those are going to set the min and max. So then if I hit preview limit, it's going to show that is the limit for which we can do that particular motion. If I hit OK, then it's edited that joint. Okay, so now we can also take a look. So we have all the lists of joints, and we're talking about doing realistic motion. We do know that all of our rigids are going to be set. We have a couple of more stuff. So I have this, let's see here, what do I have? I've got this revolute here. So what I can do for that guy is I can right click and say edit motion limits. Then I can set my minimum. So let's say I go ahead and rotate, let's say, which way is this going? All right. Okay, so our minimum, let's look if I look at this from the right side and drag it down. So let's say our minimum kind of goes to there. Then I can click my maximum. Okay, there we go. All right, this guy's being a little bit strange. Okay, 0 degrees, and then let's set my maximum at 180. Zero. Hit OK. All right. Good deal. Okay, so I'll go back to my home. Look at it from the front here. All right. Okay, so we're looking at it from the home. So I'm going to zoom in here, and then let's see here, this guy here. Let's see if we got the right thing here. Okay, so that one's the rigid. And this one is slider. So I like this guy. So we're going to edit the motion limits. Let's say the minimum is there. let's say the maximum. See how far we can stretch this guy out. Let's say the maximum is there. Hit OK. So this guy should go in and out. Get that one. All right. Okay, and so let's take a look here. Take a look at the front. And the last thing we got, whoa, okay. So the last thing we have is we have this cylindrical guy here. But then the other thing is we have a little bit of an issue here. Like this is like on one side when in fact it probably should be more centered. So what I want to look at is, let's see if we can edit this joint. If I edit the joint and then move it over slightly. Okay, so all I looked at is negative 0.025. It kind of gets it more into a neutral position. So again, we just went ahead and edited the revolute, which is this component, directly with this guy here. So the last one we're going to do is this cylindrical. Okay, so the last piece is this cylindrical piece. So if I right click on cylindrical and say edit motion limits, now for cylindrical, remember we're rotating and we are moving. So from a motion perspective, let's see here. We want a minimum of 0 and then let's say a maximum of 360. And that way it gives us that full 360-degree rotation. And then from a minimum distance for this guy, we don't want it to pull out. So let's say 0.2 is fine. Let's see if we preview limits. Okay. All right. So okay. For some reason, the min and max, I had somehow turned the max off so it went all the way through. So if I hit the max at 0 and minimum at -2, remember we had to invert this thing, then that kind of gives me the maximum place of it. So I've got my rotation, I've got that going on, so I hit OK, and then if I go from here, then I'm able to spin this out and move it back in. Okay, then the last bit, so if I zoom out, you can see all the joints. If I take display settings, you can't see it, but say object visibility and take off the joints, then what I can see here is then I can move things up and down. I can move that around. I can move the slider up and down. So now we have realistic motion for all of the different components of our selfie stick. So that would conclude the limits portion. So we've done everything from we've imported the drawing, we've imported parts from McMaster Car, we've done the assemblies, we've done a variety of assemblies, we've done rigid assemblies, revolutions, cylindricals, sliders, so a pretty good mix of those things. So that concludes the selfie stick portion.